country are you in now? And welcome, Shannon. I'm glad you're here.
Yes, Shannon. Great to see you again.
I'm not sure I could hear you, Jackie. Do you want to put... Oh, you're in Argentina. Well done.
Wow.
Anyway. Do you want to put... Oh, you're in Argentina. Well done.
Wow.
Anyway. Is the echo?
I managed it. Yeah.
You managed. Okay,
Yeah,
excellent. Then we will continue.
Yeah.
So, yes, Michael, that's the 3 E's that we were talking about. She can't talk. She's on an overnight bus en route to Buenos Aires. So, Jackie, we're so glad you're listening to us. We think about you every week.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about what do you do with the unplanned or the unexpected in life. So one of the limiting beliefs that is out there is if I just plan for all the contingencies, nothing should go wrong. Or if I just do it right, it shouldn't go wrong. So we're going to introduce something that I call, and this is not a Blair my model, this is a me thing, but I call the X factor. And the X factor being the predictably unexpected and unpredictable. So just like change is one of the constants in the universe, the unexpected and the unpredictable happens enough that we need to know it's highly likely in our lives, it's highly likely in our plans. And I'm calling this, for purposes of discussion, the X factor. It's simpler and easier to say. So when we make our plans, do you allow room for the X factor in your life? So, Leslie, when you make your plans, do you allow room or space for the X factor?
It's interesting because I would have to admit that no, I don't. In so many cases, I keep delving into something and keep trying to determine if I know everything that I need to know to make a decision to move forward.
Okay.
And
Is it possible to know everything you need to know?
I like to think that um, I think that in researching something, and I'm thinking back to this ineffective piece of equipment that I bought last year,
Mm-hmm.
and I really thought that I had asked all the questions, and going through, I knew as much about this thing as what they did. The people selling it to me and the people that have followed its progress. It wasn't until actually having it in hand and trying to work with it that um, I was able to determine how much of an utter failure of a piece of equipment it was.
So, Leslie, may I ask you a question?
Yes.
When you discovered that it was an utter failure, did you, where did you place, did you go into judgment of self, or did you just say, oh, it's their responsibility and deal with it?
Um, I did not pass it on. Um,
When you say you did not pass it on,
like a,
did did you experience self-judgment around that experience?
I wouldn't call it self-judgment, not at the time. I
Okay.
was utterly frustrated and utterly annoyed.
Okay.
Uh, there's that word utterly. This was this was a monumental situation, you know.
Yes, I remember you were sharing it with us.
Yep.
But it
I do remember.
uh, there were just so many factors that we ran up against that it was a disappointment that a company of this caliber would put this piece of equipment out available,
Right.
being done.
I want to keep you present and into a remembering place right now, Leslie. Okay, not a reliving place, but a remembering place. What I'm
Okay.
wondering is around that situation, did you have any feelings like it was somehow your fault for not discovering it was a failure before your purchase?
No,
No. So what did you do then with the unexpected, the unpredictable? There's no way to know that it was going to be a failure. So what did you do with that?
tried to figure out why it wasn't working. What are the possibilities of making it work? What is it that, what alternatives existed?
Okay.
Because they were
Excellent.
supposed to know this.
Jackie has put a couple things in the chat. Uh, she says, when I ask the question, is it possible to know enough to know everything you need to know before you make a decision? And her response is yes, because she is failing fast, falling forward. So, Michael, that is another mind model, is failing fast, falling forward. That the principle behind that has to do with the fact that we learn through our mistakes. We learn through the things that don't work. So if nothing ever goes, for lack of a better expression, if nothing ever goes wrong, then we have nothing to learn from and no way to grow. So Jackie also put in that making a plan is similar to searching for clarification. And for Leslie, what is not working is not a why. Shannon's put in risk, trust, honesty triangle plays a part in moving forward as well. So Blair, I wondered if you could engage the pivot post a little bit. That might be some new information for some of the people here.
Absolutely. So one of the key things that I take a look at here over and over again is figuring out when things are not working out as anticipated, what do I need to do? Can I continue on the same trajectory that I'm currently on or not? If I can't, then what's the issue? And for me, part of the issue here is I was in the present looking forward, but that direction that I'm going in is now taken away because of circumstances beyond my control. But can I pivot? Because I can't go in the direction that I wanted to initially. So one of the biggest issues that I have to sort through is get myself to the present, make sure I stay in the present, and make sure that I find a tangent or a vector that is not going to take me to where I was hoping I was going because that got taken away, but find a new direction for me to go in and bring that vector, that thing back to the present where I am right now so I can pivot, sort of like a gate pivot, and then just shift to that new direction, but always in the present facing forward. Now, that's a lot easier said than done because frequently when things don't work out, you flip back to the past and look to try and figure out where your problems were. But in some cases, when you buy something and it's just not working, that's not usually fully your fault. If you look for right, wrong, good or bad judgment type of thing, you evaluated it all with all the information they give you, and it still was incomplete. And that's not your problem per se, but that is a problem you need to deal with. So you need to be able to pivot at that point into a new direction and evaluate. So you pivoted, Leslie, into, okay, I got to work at getting a refund because this did not meet what was, the expectations, and this is your business. If you cannot run your business with a critical piece of information of technology that was told to you and sold to you that this will do the job and it can't, then it's only reasonable to be able to go back and say, nope, this isn't effective, and request that refund, which you did. So technically, you were pivoting at that moment. Now, if the technology and the industry is moving like you shared earlier today, is not viable anymore because of technology, because of demands, because of the marketplace just shifting, then again, it requires you to pivot to some other um, revenue making source, which is what you again are doing. So again, it's staying in the present, facing forward, saying, okay, my business is not where it needs to be. There's not what needs to happen. I'm not in an environment that I can make this business work. So what can I do to go forward rather than moaning and complaining about why it's not working? What can I do about it to make my life work? What can I choose to do differently now? And you did. And so that's a pivot. By staying in the present and shifting your resources, your focus, your attention to, as you shared earlier today, trading, going into Forex trading.
Mhm.
That's highly effective. Okay.
Thank you.
So one
Yes.
of the things that we say about my models is that my models don't prevent problems from occurring. They don't prevent situations that are difficult. What they do is help us cope and problem solve as we navigate those situations. So, what Leslie had started as a problem, it ended up being a situation that he resolved. Once he had a plan and was resolving the situation, Leslie, was it still a problem with when you had your plan and you were resolving the situation?
It was difficult to manage the angst at that time.
Right.
Um,
Lots of emotions going on with that.
Huge, huge emotions.
Hmm.
But I was able to pivot and work through all that mess and get back on track. It took some time.
Okay. I want to challenge that a little bit, Leslie. On a scale of 1 to 10, how big was that issue for your business?
10 plus 10.
Yeah, yeah. Huge.
It was huge.
Yeah, it was way over a 10. It was catastrophic, you know.
Yeah.
Now, yes, it took months, but for something that was as large as it was and as impactful to your business as it was your response basically generally reasonable for the scale? Like that's an over the top scale. So would you expect somebody else to just go about their daily business and not have an emotional baggage that comes along with that? Would you expect that reasonably? Remember, we do the reasonable man theory here. By the
Yeah.
way, Michael, in the reasonable man theory comes out of law, common law. And common law states that a judge on a bench, when they're deciding or presiding themselves, needs to look at how would a reasonable man, they need to disassociate themselves and ask themselves, how would a reasonable man with the knowledge of the law see this circumstance that the person is in that they're trying? Okay. So that means it's a disassociated state. Leslie, if you disassociate yourself from what it was and just say, would a reasonable man be somewhat similar to how you responded with the amount of emotion and everything else in there? Would it be reasonable?
Yes, if not maybe even more so.
Exactly. That's where I was going with this.
Mhm.
So your language of amping it up and stating it as being bigger, I don't think that that's fair because you're expecting yourself to perfectly manage a situation that was so imperfect and so over the top. Like that's not fair to yourself. Okay, so that's about putting things into perspective. And yes, you were emotional, but you weren't uncontrollably emotional. Like when my dad went into a coma and I got told that he was likely, he had a 1% chance, or sorry, 99% chance of never coming out of a coma. So 1% chance of coming out of a coma. I went home and I broke down in the shower. I was crying, uncontrollably, literally having sort of like a convulsive cry. I've never experienced that before or since. But given that circumstance, I have never viewed myself ever as that convulsive crying was out of outside of a reasonable place to be given the gravity of that situation. Okay? And so I'm suggesting you might need to lighten the load that you're expecting of yourself because the language that you chose was more severe to you than what I think would be reasonable. Does that make sense?
Yes and no at the same time. Uh, uh, I know of people that, had they been in that situation, wouldn't have handled it nearly as diplomatically as what I did.
Yes.
Um, I would not have been able to handle it as diplomatically if this had occurred 3 years ago. That is um, before my association with you
Hmm.
on a number of one-to-one bases, and through continually joining in with these Tuesday evenings and learning mind models uh, over that time. Because yeah, the first our first meeting, I was blown away. The first few meetings of um, these Tuesday evenings, Patty, I'm sure you'll recall, it was like, I'm just
Yes.
trying to learn the language
Yes.
um, of what's being said, how it's being said. um, I was aware of neuro-linguistic programming or neuro-linguistic speech programming
Right.
before, um, but it was also, I believe, when I learned about that, it was also tied to mindset.
Yes, it was.
So no, it wasn't effective. Uh,
Exactly.
this is the mind models are effective. I don't know them all. I
Don't
haven't been
need to.
exposed
You
to them
don't
all.
need to. I was going to say
I,
you don't need to. You just need to know what works for you. The
yeah,
amount of the amount of growth that you've shown and the tenacity, especially in the beginning, I know that was not easy for you to plow through the confusion and the language and the feelings and to just stay with it until you got your feet on the ground with it, Leslie.
yeah,
You were highly effective for yourself. And that's one of the next questions we have is how do you show up for yourself? And in that respect, Leslie, you showed up for yourself when it came to working with mind models.
Hmm.
You showed up for yourself. You showed up for yourself every week on this program, holding on and learning, showing up for yourself. It is so much easier to show up for other people than it is to necessarily show up for ourselves.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, Shannon, did you want
Thank you.
to contribute something? Did you have a thought?
I was just turning my camera on. I thought you were going to go around and ask everybody that next question. Is that where you
Well,
were headed?
yes, that's where I was headed. So go for it, girl.
It's an interesting one that I've been working on recently because I was challenged by somebody that I do show up for my clients and my family and learning. And I'm really good at showing up for myself physically. Like I know how to take care of my body. I know what edges my health has and when I need to pull back. But the nuance to that I've been practicing for myself has been my internal world and allowing space for my emotions. And one of the things that was brought up, and it's interesting because I pay a lot of attention to what comes out my mouth. But and I know we talk about this all the time, but the internal self dialogue and realizing how much of my own internal dialogue is why. And and part of it is how I'm wired and I'm leaping ahead to future things and I'm planning and strategizing and defending, but all I'm doing is creating reasons and justifications for things in my head to plan to stand up for myself or to plan to deal with this problem or to plan, all of that getting ahead. And so to really practice internally staying present because I can ground myself when there are things going on that I have to do, external tasks, but learning the internal self-control, the internal dialogue, and then leaving that space, that little moment where something happens. And I really liked what you had said earlier, I think, Blair, is to lighten the load of what we expect of ourselves. That load mentally for me was not allowing any room for an emotion at all. And then obviously when you tamp that down for so long, it bubbles out and then you have to make space for it. But it's amazing how much I've been feeling when I practice. Okay, I am feeling something. I don't go to naming and labeling. I don't go to all the things. The first thing I've been trying to go back in my process to make space for is acceptance and not judging myself for
Well
having a
done.
feeling in the first place.
Mhm.
Because I think that when I was workshopping my process and I was like, I name and label it, I, describe my feelings, I do all these things. And I go in my whole thing and I was like, but way back here, I skipped a step. And everything I did after that was based out of judgment and in a why. So learning to show up for myself in the internal space
Mm.
and making room to accept and not judge my own emotions and allowing that to ripple out to not judging other people and situations. It's been really interesting because I have so much practice with external things and thinking about words and plans and all that. So I know both of those, there's room for both internal and external things, but for me specifically, that's what I've been working on.
Well
Well
done.
done. Very well done. Shane, how do you show up for yourself?
Yeah. I definitely put others before my needs. Probably showing up for myself most recently is the dedication and discipline to learn trading like I want to, and spending hours upon hours in front of the charts and back testing and learning. So I do still quite often beat myself up for things that don't really matter. So I need to keep working on that. But I don't know. I like to know that my family for sure and my neighbors can count on me when they need something. They just, hey Shane, and I'm like, yeah, I'm coming. But I also probably could use a little more space for myself, I guess.
Mhm.
So can you count on you for you?
My internal voice says I don't really matter enough to. I just got to do what I got to do to get through the day and go forward. If I'm being real honest.
Yep.
Is
And you
that
are.
Yes, I hear the honesty with that. I applaud your courage and your transparency.
Mhm.
So, what might you do about that?
I was about, yeah. What might I do about that? Start making myself a priority.
What does that look like?
Um, Vocalizing, writing down some things that I personally want to accomplish and what I want to do for me for the day.
Mhm.
Okay. Well done.
And what would
Christy,
happen if those things started happening?
Well, I would I don't want to assume, but I would guess that attitude, maybe a little sense of inner pride would show up, better attitude. Some,
And could you evaluate those more effectively?
yes, after running some tests, yes.
Great. And once you run those tests, do you think you might grow more of your self-confidence?
That would be, yes, I believe self-confidence would grow.
Absolutely. So when might you start these?
Well, I have some time in the house because we're in the middle of a blizzard. So literally all we're doing is going out every hour or so, checking the cows, feeding in the afternoon, and coming back in and staying warm. So
Yeah.
I can get that done tomorrow.
Okay, great. That sounds good. Awesome.
would you be willing to let us know how that goes for you?
Perfect.
Christy, may I ask you a question?
Yes, you sure may.
Do you show up for yourself?
Um, the last couple weeks, yes, I have. It's taken a long time, like 47 years, but I mean, that's not exactly true. Like 30 years, but yes.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that?
Well, I show up. I've learned to set some boundaries that are healthy boundaries. I've learned how to evaluate myself better. I really like a lot of what Shannon said. I resonated a lot with, she's got amazing words and I love how she puts things in perspective. Helps me a lot. So if she could just be in my pocket, I would love that. And I I name and label and the 3 E's have been really big for me. But I think these last couple weeks, learning how to evaluate myself and those processes that we've went through and looked into have really helped me be able to even have the desire to want to show up for myself.
Well done.
Absolutely.
Michael, may I ask you a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, do you show up for yourself?
Um, I would say I'm more of the judging type.
Okay. How's that working for you?
Well, I've gotten to this point in my life, but can always be better.
Okay. So, are you living in what is, an acceptance of what is, or are you living in what should be?
Probably what should be.
Is that something that that you have a desire to change?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Blair talked about something called fair and balanced self-evaluation. We also talk about something called a mind model called self, other, and situation. So, are you familiar with the way Venn diagrams look?
Yep.
Okay, so you got 2 circles here and 1 circle here, and all 3 circles overlap. You picture 1 circle as self, 1 circle as other, and 1 circle as situation. And then they shift, and the amount of overlap changes. There are times when you can when you might find yourself removing a circle, but mostly the circles are kind of enjoined in there. Oh, Blair, thank you. Blair's going to put this up.
I'm gonna try.
Self-other situation. So,
Oops.
okay, there's one.
Hang on for just 1 second. That's gonna
All right.
mess things up.
So within these worlds, with self and other and situation, what can you control?
Self.
Okay. What can you influence?
Situation.
What else can you influence?
Other.
What else can you influence?
And self.
Okay. So we have a lot of influence and we have actually very little control. So, how effective is it to judge what you cannot control?
Very ineffective.
Do you find that your judgment holds you stuck in relationships or in business or in your own head?
Yeah, definitely.
Where do you find it impacting you the most?
Can you rephrase the question?
Where do you find judgment impacting your life the most?
I'm not sure.
Okay, start figuring these ones out because that's you going into
Yeah,
I'm
I know.
not
I
sure
know.
or I don't know again.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so you might want to just consider, okay, you're a very bright man, and today working with you, I'm cheating because he was on the 5-day business challenge, and we went through a little bit of this.
So
It's
Blair's
just
got your number, Michael.
getting you out of your way, your own way. So now pretend that if you knew, what would you say?
Rephrase the question one more time.
Patty, do you want to just ask the question, then I'll take it from there.
Okay. What area in your life is most impacted by judgment? And is that holding you stuck?
So,
The ability to move forward. And definitely keeps me stuck.
Brent put a wonderful diagram of this mind model in the chat for anybody who would like to take a peek at it.
yes, thank you, Brent. Now I don't have to rebuild it. Fine, I'll stop sharing. That's exactly what I was looking for. Thank you so much.
So my question, when you're talking about this holding you stuck in terms of moving forward, when the X factor being the unpredictable and the unexpected, when the X factor intrudes on your life, where do you go emotionally?
Emotionally, I go into I'm not good enough and self-doubt.
Okay. What does doubt do for you within the realm of business?
I'm relatively new to the whole aspect of business. I'm just in the process of starting up creating a coaching program.
Okay.
Um, it
In general, what does doubt do?
it keeps me stuck and not moving forward, not seeking solutions, and it may also lead to some self-sabotage.
Mhm.
Okay. So we have within the mind model community, we have a mind model related to fear. It's an acronym, FEAR, future events appearing real. Blair, I think, already covered the fact that all change occurs in the present. So when we are in the past or in the future, there can be no change, no forward movement. So one of the things that fear does is hold us stuck. We're not in the present. Doubt is like a lower degree of fear. Blair, would you like to discuss the impact of doubt on a life?
Sure, absolutely. I'll be going into this heavily in the VIP section on Thursday, but right now, that of the 5-day challenge. But right now, the doubt factor is rather significant because when we have self-doubt, we compare the past against our past. And we go, I don't know how to move forward. So your language of saying, I'm not sure, or I don't know, or whatever phraseology you use to, keep yourself there. That's you holding yourself so that you cannot test because you don't put anything out on the table to test. Therefore, you can't improve. So when it's past and you project that into the future, how will that be? I don't know. Well, that's mostly true, except that it's not. It's just your state of where your mind is in that moment. That's all. And holding yourself in that spot prevents you from moving ahead effectively and finding out what works or doesn't work. See, people think that failing is a terrible thing. But to fail, FAIL, is the first attempt in learning. FAIL. That's all it is. And everybody has to make attempts. Otherwise, they stay stuck. And so I'm dyslexic. I was blessed with dyslexia. And the reason that I say I was blessed with it is because I got really comfortable screwing up and making tons, thousands, hundreds of thousands of mistakes, which very early on I go, you know what? One of the things I can do is I can screw up because that's what my teachers were saying. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. So I'm wrong. I got used to being wrong, judged. So that judgment had very little impact on my desire to attempt. And so I attempted again and again and again. And sooner or later, I'd stumble into something that actually worked. And when I found something that worked, I'd go to school on it. I didn't know I was evaluating back in the day, but that's really functionally what I was sort of doing. It was very crude. I wasn't looking at it from, oh, I need to evaluate this. I had nothing named or labeled. I just knew I felt different. And this time it worked. I go, holy crap, I did it. Then I tell myself, what the hell did I do? And I go, well, I did this. And I thought about that and go, well, hey, if I have a similar situation, I'm going to do it again. And sure enough, was very, very slowly, years of building up things, processes, life experiences, actually, that I could figure out what worked and what didn't work. And pretty much I knew everything I did generally didn't work and a few things worked. So I just totally, okay, fine. I'm going to fuck up and I'm going to do that a lot. So next. And that was a huge gift because then I would have doubt, but my doubt diminished because I already knew I was going to screw up. So try something because occasionally it works. And that's what I put processes to that and go, how can I evaluate this thing effectively to see the shift, not only in myself, but in others? And so that's where when you go, I don't know, I go, yeah, that's true, but it's also not true. You can't know until you attempt. And if you don't even attempt, you can't figure out what works for you. So what makes sense out of what I said, Michael?
What was you talking about the dyslexia and knowing that you're going to fuck up and doing it anyway just made me think of, actually learning how to walk as a child. Just keep trying. Don't even, I don't remember the whole process. I just remember, or I don't even remember. I just know the fact every time you see a little baby learning how to walk, they just keep doing. They learn incrementally bit by bit. Okay, this is how you stabilize with the muscles, what muscles to use and the whole deal. And then just go from there.
Exactly. And you don't even think about as a baby, you don't even think that it's muscles.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, oh, I see other kids. I remember this moment with my daughter, Catherine. We had her cousins come over to my house, and she was crawling, and there were a young boy and a young girl and a slightly older boy, and the girl started running around the young boy started following, and they were screaming and yelling and trying to play tag in a circle thing around the kitchen, through the dining room, living room, hallway, down the other hallway, through the kitchen, and they were running around and laughing and having a good time. And there was Catherine on the floor crawling and trying to go after them. And then she'd hear them over the other way, turn around, and then they'd dash by again, and she'd try to follow them again. Well, then, like, she would crawl back a little bit, trying to catch them the first time. Then, you know what? She sat on her ass and sort of looked quizzical. She wasn't talking yet. She just plopped down on her ass and looked like, what's going on here? Those guys are moving at lightning speed, and I'm putting words in her mouth, brain, whatever. But 2 days later, she was up and walking. She wasn't going to get left behind again. And, you know, that was just the impetus to see that whole thing of, she did a lot of wall walking, as all babies do, young infants do, but she was not crawling anymore. She was done with that. It wasn't fast enough. And she saw, oh, legs, crawling, going, whatever. And it's kids sort of her size, a bit bigger, but close enough. And they're laughing and having fun. I want to join in. So, you know, that's really what it takes and yeah, lots of falling, but lots of success. 2 days later, boom, figured out how to walk.
Well, Shane has put in the chat, what fires together wires together. And that
So
really
true.
exemplifies your particular approach to the dyslexia and to the things that were so challenging to you. Blair, out of your experience with
Well,
the
one of the things that I want to build on just for Michael, this is how your brain always, all brains operate like this. What fires together wires together. So if you tell yourself you don't know, that's what you're firing together and making it wire together. So you will not get curious. You might be an incredibly curious guy, but when you say that in these situations, you prevent the opportunity of exploration in your mind. And what you need, I was talking to a billionaire client of mine years ago, and one of the things he said to me is, I was in business. He knew that I was in business too. And he said to me, Blair, you know what? In my business, for every significant partial success I've had, I've made at least 100 mistakes. So just keep on making mistakes and you'll figure it out. But if you don't make those mistakes, if you don't try, I like attempt better. If you don't attempt, you ain't going to figure it out and you're never going to be successful. You're never going to break through because there's no right answer. There's only doing and improving. That's it. Okay, now you can go.
Okay. So Blair, I wanted to ask you, what positive traits do you see in yourself as a result of the hard things in your life?
Well, apart from what I just shared,
One
of the things that I've learned to do is to show up, just show up. And Michael, kudos to you, sir, tonight. You just showed up because there's no chance of change if you don't show up. There's no chance for business if you don't show up. And then what you do is get yourself back in the present. Okay, I had a bunch of calls today and things ran late. And sure enough, I had a client that was there on the call, like waiting for me for 10 minutes. And I was very fortunate. I jumped on Zoom and there they were. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm late now. Where would you like to go from here? And he said, okay, this is the stuff that he'd like to talk about and blah, blah, blah. We just carried on. How come? Because number one, I showed up. I didn't make an excuse that I was late. I was late. I acknowledged that, but I'm not sort of going, oh, I'm like horribly, distraught because of that. It was just, hey, I'm late. Sorry, things got away from me. Next, where would you like to go forward? Like, how do we take this next step forward? And that's one of the things that I do. I show up and I get myself present to go forward as quickly as I can. That's it. Like, that saved my ass so many times. And the other thing is, for me, um, sorry, what was the question again? Wanted to
What positive traits do you see in yourself as a result of the hard things in your life?
unshmushing. I'm good at decoupling shmushes for the most part. I'm sometimes not as effective in there when it's really emotional, but when I can decouple myself, it helps so much in my relationship with Blair Dunkley, the blonde with the great glasses and face and eyes and hair. That's my girlfriend, Lori, is what I'm referring to. So it makes a huge thing. Yes, it's tough. Yes, it's difficult. But when I can just move myself into the present and shift myself, this is what I'm feeling, but this is where I'd like to go and get to, and I'm here in the moment and ask her where she's at in the moment. So far, 2.5 years, we've been able to resolve everything. It's all resolvable.
So,
And it's
Michael,
great.
one of the phrases that we often use with ourselves to get ourselves into this present place are the words right now. There is a my motto with 3 magic words. That's not what I'm referring to right now. It's just the right now. Specifically, specifically now are the 3 magic words, and that's its own my motto. So, what might I do specifically right now? And that brings you to the present from the past or the future, brings you to the present where you can be effective. So, Brent, I want to ask you the same question I asked Blair. What positive traits do you see in yourself as a result of the hard things in your life?
Mhm. Mm. Oh, evaluate. So, you know, it's I'm gonna say one of the things I know is perseverance. Like I will keep going.
Mhm.
That is for sure.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
I see
So
that.
yeah, that's one picked up. But I also learned through the way is like the failing. Yeah, it used to be real tough. It's still kind of like I don't really want to like fail at things. It's harder to take, but I will go out there and do it and look for those so I can learn the things that I miss. So there's opportunities. So there's things if I miss something, I wanna find it, even though it's uncomfortable. I'll still do it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
well done. Leslie, what positive traits do you see in yourself as a result of the hard things in your life?
Wasn't expecting you to ask me. uh, I'm still, I don't know if this, well, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say it that way. I'm still stuck on what Brent just started to say when you asked him.
Mhm.
He said, wow, he said, and he said, evaluate. And he was saying evaluate to himself.
Yeah.
He wasn't saying that to us, but I
Right.
heard it. And
Mhm.
that was powerful. For me,
Yeah.
that was powerful.
Excellent.
And can I leave it at that?
Absolutely, you may. That's a big deal, Leslie. I'm
It
glad
is.
that it's something to you. That's a big deal. Christy, same question. May I ask?
Yes, you definitely sure can.
What positive traits do you see in yourself as a result of the hard things in your life?
Well, showing up
Mhm.
and taking ownership of things, situations.
Mhm.
Um, seek support when I need it, and being okay with asking for help has been really good. Definitely evaluating. I said earlier that I've learned self-evaluation is a really big deal. And then also kind of understanding where my now is different than other people's now. So knowing the specifics and being a little bit more specific. And yeah, of course, the 3 E's in name and label, those are my ones. And the self-other situation has become a really another big mind model that I think I didn't probably realize I used it as much, but when I opened it up and looked further into it and understood it more, that it really is something also that is effective for me.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Jane, same question.
What traits?
What positive traits do you see in yourself as a result of the hard things in your life?
Oh, yeah, it's a long list.
Just a
There's been
couple.
some there's been some hard things, but my positive traits: never giving up, tenacity,
Mm-hmm.
hardworking,
Mm-hmm.
loving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd go with those.
Well said. Corey, are you able to verbally participate or just listening tonight?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
That-
sorry. Go ahead, Patty.
Oh, I wondered if you were able to verbally participate tonight or if.
Yeah, I'm just in the other room.
Oh, okay.
Is it a lot of echo, Blair?
Not too bad. Not too bad here.
Okay.
So, what positive traits do you see in yourself as a result of the hard things in your life?
That's a loaded question, especially what I've been through. But
Yeah, been through a lot.
yeah. Um,
There one thing?
well, to keep showing up for yourself, for myself, one, and staying present,
Mm-hmm.
for sure, and keep trying, and I make appointments for myself, like
Yes.
keep making appointments, going to the gym, working out with my trainer. I'm going, no, I need to go and, I'm going for a pedicure. Take care of me. I come first.
Mhm. Yeah.
Put yourself
Well
first.
done.
Mhm.
Well done. That's a big deal.
It is. And you have to, and also staying in the present. And Blair's been wonderful about that. It's helping me with that. And yeah, it works for me and for our relationship. So yeah, thank you.
New, same question.
What?
I love the questions you're asking tonight. I know that's not our wrap up yet, but the three main questions that you've asked have been really good at stirring up the pot mentally. I am resilient. I have become resourceful through the things that I've learned here. I'm not naturally pragmatic, but hard things have taught me a little bit of pragmatism, which I'm actually quite proud of that. And I'm really tenacious, and my ability to see multiple perspectives in what someone else might be going through, and to have still a tenderness and a kindness for other people's situations, I think has come from a lot of the challenges as well. So
do y'all hear some of the common threads showing up for yourself? Tenacity, resilience, a lot of the same threads that have come out of really difficult times. Michael, I don't think I asked you, are you willing to answer the question?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What positive traits do you see in yourself as a result of the hard things in your life?
The first one that jumps out is perseverance, and always trying to find the fun in a situation, and trying to keep a sense of humor about, reminding myself that the bad is temporary and it won't last long.
Interesting. Michael, what we do here when we reach the end, because we're winding down this episode, what we do is something called a wrap up. I ask different people if they wish to participate in the wrap up. So you have the choice to say yes or no, and either one is fine. We rate on a scale of 1, or rank, not rate, rank on a scale of 1 to 10, the value you receive, what you took out of tonight. Has nothing to do with how well I did or Blair did, but what is the value of what you take out of tonight's episode? So I'm going to have, yes, Shane.
I was just going to volunteer first. I've got a cow calving that needs to probably go in the barn. So I can wrap up first and go.
Yes, please do.
I'll give tonight a solid 9. The questions, as Shannon just said, that you asked were very brings a lot of stuff from the feeling part of my brain to the front part of my brain and make you think about them. So yeah, and then Christy's self-father situation. Blair touched on the fear a little bit, which I still do a little bit, but used to operate in fear all the time, and stuff that it's really helping to work forward and move forward. And so self-evaluation is key. Test, as Blair like to says, test what works, test what doesn't work, build on what does work. So I appreciate you guys getting on each Tuesday night with us. It's very beneficial. So thank you all.
Thank you, Shane.
Thank you, Shane.
You're sharing. Good luck with your calf.
Yeah, take care.
Christy, would you like to go next?
I would like to. I would like to ask too, if somebody got all of your questions, could you type them in the chat?
Got all of my questions.
Like just what your question was. Just I mean, I was writing things down as we were going through them, and I didn't actually write down what your question was, and I would just like to go back and say this question.
Can I send that to you in an email? Because
for sure. Yeah.
Chat doesn't work.
That would be great. Yeah, no, that's perfect.
All right.
My wrap up is perfect. Thank you. Is a 9. And I too love going through the questions and asking everybody and seeing where everybody's at. And I think just everybody showing up tonight was amazing. And the last couple times was I am just so proud of myself because I showed up for a while and then I went to YouTube and I don't know what was going on there for a while, but then I'm like, I'm back and I love it. And it just really feels really good. So just keep showing up because you guys are an amazing family and there's absolutely no judgment here. And so I know that this is a safe place, even when I get uncomfortable. So love it.
You add so much value. I did
You
see
do.
that I think Blair posted some of my
Yeah.
questions.
All the ones we had
Thank you, Blair.
today. You're welcome. Just copy and paste them now because they
Yes.
will be gone
Okay.
momentarily.
Can I ask an off the subject question really quick? I got one of my test videos done and I don't remember where to send that.
I texted that to you.
Did you? Okay. Okay. I haven't had a chance to look, but I just wanted
That's
to double.
okay.
Okay.
I
Okay.
sent it to you in a text, so we've got it.
Perfect.
Yay, well
Thank you.
done.
Thank
Okay.
you.
You are welcome. Okay. Lori, would you like to participate in the wrap up tonight?
Whoops. Yeah. I9. It was great. Good questioning. Love to hear everybody's responses and answers, and a lot of common thread. You're right, running through them. It was interesting. From
Learn so much from one another.
Exactly. And when you're in the deepest of despair, it's resilience. You pull yourself up and keep going.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
Yeah.
Michael, would you like to participate in the wrap up tonight?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say 9 as well. I really like the acronyms for fear and fail, the Venn diagram, and everything that Blair said and sort of coached me through. And I actually did take a risk and was willing to fail in one of my responses, because the entire day has really been about me really learning and realizing the need to take the risk and fail, and then also having the trust, honesty, and fail thing from the business group this morning.
Risk, trust, honesty.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. We're really glad you're here. I do hope you'll return.
Oh, I definitely will be.
Yeah.
So, Leslie, would you like to participate in wrap up tonight?
Yes, thank you. I enjoyed this evening again. It was good. I enjoyed the interaction. A 9.5 tonight. It's again just bringing a bunch of things and reinforcing the things that I am learning here. I know I didn't have a very good answer for your last question, but
I thought your answer was just fine, really.
Seriously, yes.
Seriously, evaluation is a really, really big deal. And
it is.
to have that, I think evaluation and the skill to do it is an extremely positive trait. And to come out of hard things with that trait serve you the rest of your
Huge.
life.
Yeah.
Really huge. So
Thank
well
you.
done. Well done. Brent, would you like to give your wrap up tonight?
Yeah, I enjoyed these questions. They really more of a thinker and a self-evaluation on where you're at and things that are, if they're working or if they're not working. So yeah, I give it a 8.5 for me
Thank
tonight.
you. Shannon, would you like to give us your wrap up?
Absolutely. Yeah, the questions were not only really well worded, but they promoted a lot of self-reflection, even if we didn't answer, which most of us did, throughout all three of them. I found them to stir the pot mentally in a really effective way. I was wondering, Blair, I had a really quick question. I was scrolling up to the Venn diagram,
Right?
and it says that the two are areas of influence. Would you say that self is an area of control and influence?
Mostly it's an area of control.
Okay.
When you, yeah, I like not overemphasizing because it's like 90, 95 control and a
Okay.
little bit of influence.
Okay.
But it's only when you are in an area that you're just sort of breaking into
Okay.
that it's sort of influence. And it's usually influenced by trying to break through assumptions so that you're trying to figure out stuff about you.
Okay.
So, okay, does that
Hang
help?
on one second. Awesome. No, thank you. I was thinking about that throughout the thing. And then I um I was also thinking about the first attempt in learning, and I've been noodling on that as well because once, and it was one of the most relieving things to learn when I joined this community, was that yes, failure is effective, it's learnable, it's a wonderful thing, it's a natural part of the process. When I started my current job, I was all about it when I was the only one that the failure was affecting. And one of the things that happens, like, that I've been realizing is that if I fail at work, it affects my clients. It affects, you know what I mean? Like, let's say I have someone come in with a set of physical situations that I haven't seen before, an injury that people are notorious for not writing their injuries on intake forms. So, you have to have a pretty comprehensive knowledge of the body, but maybe it's something I would have liked to have looked up before they came in, and I wing it. And maybe my winging it doesn't work, or my first, if I have a client that I have a relationship with, I can test things and they're comfortable with that and we build that rapport. So much of the comfort in failing fast, falling forward has to do with that rapport and the trust with them. But sometimes with a new client, you only get one chance. And if I fail and they don't come back or they don't find it effective or something, it's just, I've been playing around with that idea because I was very comfortable with it when it was only me that it was affecting. And now that it's ripples on the water a little bit farther out, it's causing some noodle in the brain.
Mhm.
So that was one I was just pondering. I also really appreciated the conversation around doubt, and I found that noodle worthy. In terms of, I really liked the phrasing. I didn't catch it the first time, but you said comparing the past with the past. I thought that was so profound, and to really, because that, to think about the ways that that creeps in to my internal dialogue in ways that I'm not aware of, and how to shine the spotlight on that a little bit and clear it up so that it's not having as much power. So yeah, that was really great. Let me just see. I think that yeah, tonight was highly effective, and I appreciated everybody's sharing, and it will be a 9 for me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.
For me, it's a 9 tonight. I appreciate, Michael, you showing up. I appreciate your willingness to participate and let us get to know you a little bit. I appreciate everybody participating with the questions and adding perspective as well as value to one another tonight through the questions was highly effective for me. So, Blair, if you would like to give us your wrap up and then take us out.
You betcha. So for me, I really liked, well, first of all, really appreciated you showing up here, Michael. That's super, like really good. Secondly, I liked the conversation. And Shannon, I appreciate you jumping in and talking about the noodling and thinking things through and the questions and diving into those as you usually do. And you have a very eloquent way of stating your perspectives and point of view. So I really enjoyed that. So to me, it's a 8.5 night for me, strong. Now, just to share, thank you all for showing up. If there's an opportunity to share the BDE with anybody else, or you would like to go on, you can go to YouTube and just type in Blair Dunkley Experience, and you can come here and post a like or whatever, a comment. If you have something to comment, it would be so helpful to me because that's all about the algorithm. So we can try and get this out to more people. That's huge. Also, if you want all of the historical and ongoing notes of the BDE, I am promoting the study guide at $25 a month or $300 a year. And you can, go to BDE Insider Notes. And I don't know if I post that before, but here I'll post it in the chat right now. And whoops, sorry, clicked the wrong button. And just put that there, and there we go. If people want to look into that, that's where that is. So please join us and tell your friends. If you think that this might be useful for them, have them join us every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Mountain, 9 p.m. Eastern, and 6 p.m. Pacific, and come on out and join us. So if you haven't gotten it so far, I'm also going to put in the free gift one more time for the 3 E's. Michael, if you would like to grab that as well, that's a freebie right there. So yeah, hey guys, it's always an honor and a privilege to be able to share with you, and I enjoy this so much. Thank you for it seems my life work had found a home and a place for meaning. So thank you. Anyway, guys, I'll see you guys next week. And Michael, I'll see you tomorrow morning. And anybody who's joining me on the 5-day business challenge, see you then. And thank you so much for coming out. Take care. Have a great night, everybody.
Yep, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.